Greetings in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. Today we are discussing Law of One Perspective on Orange Ray, which is the second chakra, and it has to do with personal relationships with yourself or with one other person. Okay, now for Bill's introduction.
Hello, we welcome you to this Law of One podcast in the love and light of the one infinite creator. This is a teaching experiment founded on unity, harmony, and unconditional love. The topic covered today is Orange Ray. We are grateful for those who listened to our teaching experiment. We thank those of LL Research who have channeled and continue to channel and produce spiritual information to this day. We thank those of the Confederation of Planets in the service of the One Infinite Creator that provide the information we wish to discuss. It is our desire to serve through this experiment. We are attempting to learn a topic as a social memory complex. This means we desire to teach a topic as a unified and harmonious group. And like I said, the underlying goals of this teaching experiment are unity, harmony, and a desire for the contributors to have unconditional love for all. We in no way have the intention of misrepresenting Confederation philosophy in this podcast. At this point, we wish to make it clear that we are not experts or authorities on any such topic we cover, and we are not infallible in what we have to say. We would ask that you use your own discrimination to determine whether the words and concepts we share with you have value in your spiritual journey at this time. If there are any that do not, we would ask you to lay them aside and think not a second thought about them, and only use those words and concepts that speak to your heart, that speak to your journey that you are on now, as we do not wish to be a stumbling block in your seeking. Thank you for being here with us, and we start with Josh on the topic of Orange Ray.
Thank you very much for the great introductions, Andre and Bill. Welcome everybody for joining us for this episode of The Orange Ray. I, as usual, have some quotes from the Confederation that we'll share and discuss as well later. First quote here from 1988. A great deal of the work of your people at this time is what this instrument would call Orange Ray work. The Orange Ray Energy Center deals, in our opinion, with personal relationships and difficulties of the person within the self. From 1991. We are using the system of the energy centers, the Orange Ray of dealing with the self and dealing with individuals other than the self. 2016. As the energy moves further upward to the next center, the Orange Ray is that which is concerned with the individual expression of your power or your emotions on a one-to-one basis with other entities. When this has been accomplished to a sufficient degree to allow the energy to move higher, then the Yellow Ray Energy Center is that which is awakened. So from those quotes, it should be clear that Orange Ray deals with one-on-one scenarios, one-on-one interactions, person to person. 1981 from the Ra Contact. I am Ra. The Orange Ray is that influence or vibratory pattern wherein the mind-body-spirit expresses its power on an individual basis. Thus, power over individuals may be seen to be Orange Ray. This ray has been quite intense among your peoples on an individual basis. You may see in this ray the treating of others' selves as non-entities, slaves, or chattel, thus giving other selves no status whatsoever. So there, Ra explains a pretty clear service to self or negative use or example of Orange Ray dynamic or Orange Ray viewpoint, seeing other people as slaves, as a separation on the one-to-one, person-to-person level. This one's from 1990. This instrument has low energy into the heart chakra because it is blocked in red ray as it questions its right to be alive. It is blocked in orange ray by its reluctance to accept freely given love. So they shut off their orange ray, and on a one-to-one basis, they're not allowing in or receiving any energy from outside. 1981 raw contact. The next energy complex which may be blocked is the emotional or personal complex, also known as the orange ray complex. This blockage will often demonstrate itself as personal eccentricities or distortions with regard to self-conscious understanding or acceptance of self. And I want to just reinforce the importance, as mentioned earlier, that the clearing or the cleared orange ray allows the chakra, the energy to flow up from the red to the orange ray up to the yellow ray and eventually making its way to the heart. So as probably will be mentioned in all of these episodes we're doing on the different chakras, that's another fundamental requirement for opening the heart is cleared energy centers. And that's what I have for now. At this time, I'd like to pass it over to Bill.
Okay, thank you, Josh, on that. I am going to start with a quote from Living the Law of One, 101, The Choice by Carla Rueckert. And once again, all our quotes are listed below our video. And in this one on page 134, it says, the Ra group says that the orange ray is that influence or vibratory pattern wherein the mind-body-spirit complex, which is their term for a person, expresses its power on an individual basis. And Josh actually gave you that quote. And it goes on to say, what is that power? It is our power to give or withhold love, acceptance, forgiveness, and compassion. It is our power to keep our promises and to treat people ethically, fairly, and generously. And before we use this power on anyone else, we need to use it on ourselves. We need to learn to accept ourselves and to treat ourselves with respect. So this little quote from Carla talks about what the orange ray is and what the power of the orange ray is. And it really starts with ourselves, accepting ourselves, and treating ourselves with respect. Okay, and this is on page 135 from Living the Law of One. And she goes on and writes, I am saying that we can learn to love ourselves knowing our faults. And that is what we need to do to open our orange ray. At the core of keeping energy flowing through the orange ray center is developing the attitude of genuinely liking ourselves. So this goes on talking about opening the red ray, and it begins with genuinely liking ourselves. And here's Carla from page 136, Living the Law of One. Another aspect of our orange ray relationship with ourselves that is seldom in good shape is our feelings about our bodies. We are seldom happy with our appearance. We feel self-conscious. We may feel physically inadequate simply because we do not have ideal looks. We seldom measure up to our images of the ideals. These feelings constrict the orange ray center. And I just added this because our body image, how we feel about our body, can really block the orange ray. And we live in this kind of society that it's very important that people look good and think others look good. And but we really need to get past all that and just accept our body no matter what it is at that time. And it doesn't mean we don't take care of the body or try to look good, but we just don't body shame ourselves because that blocks the orange ray. And then from Kuo, February 19th, 2003, it says, within the next energy center lies that which is most visible among your peoples, and yet not that which can be overlooked. The culture which you enjoy and the so-called New Age subculture, whose opinion often affect the philosophy of, shall we say, the surface culture of your peoples, emphasizes and indeed nearly glorifies personal relationships, and consequently, it is most likely within your day-to-day discussions and communications and with other selves that the issue which truly are informing and consuming the mind and the emotions are known to the self. It is well, however, to gaze at those patterns which are repetitive, which do not seem constructive. For energies within this red ray system may be strengthened and crystallized by such work. And then it goes on and says, a key indeed is to see each entity within a relationship as a flower of a unique beauty, which is better held than trimmed or plucked. And so this basic quote says, when recognizing non-constructive patterns in relationships can strengthen the orange ray. So when you're seeing that you're not dealing good with people, then then you can start to be aware and open your orange ray system, and then or your orange ray center. And this last sentence is a powerful key to keeping the orange ray open. It is where you look at another entity has a flower of unique beauty, and you don't pluck it or trim it because you just accept it as it is. And so when you can do that, that keeps your red ray open too, your orange ray open too, excuse me. All right, and I'm going to stop for now, and we go on to Andrii for his quotes.
Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah, are you with us, Andrii?
Oh, yeah. So someone had just come to the door. Anyways, so I wanted to say 2019-09-07 for the Orange Ray Center, the expression of the prana or love light of the one infinite creator in a positive sense through this center will allow the entity activating this energy center to relate to one other entity in a manner which is of acceptance, of giving, of that of sharing, which is personal, emotional, and individual to the two entities engaged in this type of energy exchange. So, have you ever had a kind of conversation with someone where you are open and accepting and, you're pouring your heart out or whatnot, and you're just accepting them as they are, and they're accepting you as. Oh, but the main thing is for your own orange ray is accepting them as they are, and so that would be the orange ray, and accepting yourself as you are, and then and giving and sharing. And so that would be the positive way of opening it. Now, a negatively oriented entity will utilize such energies in order to separate from and control other selves that relate to the negative self on a one-to-one basis. Whereas the positively oriented energy will utilize the orange ray in order to welcome and enjoy the offerings of another in hopes that the offerings of the self to the other will be enjoyed in a similar fashion. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a sense of the fact that it's kind of welcoming and accepting is the positive version, and separating and dominating or is the negative version. And in another place Ra mentions, or Kuo or someone was talking that basically fear of being possessed and things like that, or wanting to possess or wishing to be possessed, those are all types of negative orange ray experience. Here's another quote, 1996, 1006. The source of a great deal of anger is the dynamic betwixt two entities, yourself and another. And so, although all fear has a red ray blockage, many feelings of anger also are generating orange ray blockage, as that is the ray in which you and working with yourself and one other self. That is the relationship chakra, the belly chakra, the chakra where many entities will try to control from. The person that has a lower belly tension is often reacting to another being who is attempting to control, or is reacting because the self is attempting to control another. In either case, not only the red ray, but also the orange ray center is experiencing some blockage. And when the anger has to do with anger at society or at the culture or group, the anger is also generating yellow ray blockage. So, this is just basically saying that you, when you're trying to control others, so anger is usually like from fear, and so it's the red ray. Remember how we were talking in the previous episode of how we're building these on top of each other, these chakras. So you start with the red ray, and so say for instance you have a survival issue, like not enough food or something, and now you could love and accept kind of the situation, and have faith that the creator will provide for you, or you could go into an angry and fearful mode, um, and then you could say get angry at the world for not providing for you in the moment, and then you could say, if you had a neighbor and then you wanted to take their food, this personal relationship, and then you're trying to control them and convince them to give you their food through fear, then that's the orange ray, right? And whereas, so for instance, if you were accepting them and loving them with the food that they have, and you were just kind to them, and then they decided to share with you, then that would be the positive version of that orange ray. But you see, it still has that red ray survival component that's kind of underlying it. And now, if it was a larger group of people, then you would have yellow ray. But we're gonna do that in more depth later. Okay, and so, and if 1982, 11, 12. If one wishes to be of service with another by sharing a game which contains competitive elements of entity against entity, there are many avenues of expression available. It is desired, in truth, that the other self be defeated. If it is desired, then there's an expression of the orange ray center, which is, as we have mentioned, but a step upon the path. So if you're playing a game and you're like, I want to win, or I want to win against that person, like say you're playing chess or checkers or one of those two-player games, then that's the desire for domination and control, and so you're operating out of the orange ray. Or if you want to lose, same thing. Okay, so I wish to now move on to Josh.
Thank you, Andre. Those were some great quotes and great explanations there. Love it. I'll continue on with a few more quotes from the Confederation on the orange ray. From 2017, from Quo. At the orange ray, the energy vibrates in a more, as you would say, rapid fashion, so that it becomes focused more carefully upon your individual expressions of identity in your relationships with other entities on a one-to-one basis. Here we have the ability to harmonize the energies of two entities, or if there is not immediate harmony, then there is a different kind of sound vibration that is the result of the interaction of two entities and will reflect a certain amount of harmony um, or a lack thereof. So if you've ever had the experience, if you just hit it off, you just met someone and you just hit it off and you're vibing and you get each other and you have very engaging conversation and you're both happy, that's a positive orange ray interaction, um, activating the orange ray in a positive sense. Another way that the orange ray dynamic will affect these one-on-one interactions, like it mentions at the end, if you meet someone and you're talking with them and like immediately they have a bad vibe and you very different people and you're not enjoying hanging out with them, that's another dynamic of the orange ray, that you're just on two incompatible or different, too far different orange ray vibrations, that the person to person is not in harmony with each other. um, that's an example of aspect of the orange ray in your day-to-day life. From 1981, this is from the raw contact as well. The negative path, as you would call it, uses a combination of the yellow ray and the orange ray in its polarization patterns. These rays, used in dedicated fashion, will bring about a contact with intelligent infinity. The usual nature of sexual interaction, if one is yellow or orange ray in primary vibratory patterns, is one of blockage and then insatiable hunger due to the blockage. When there are two selves vibrating in this area, the potential for polarization through the sexual interaction is begun. One entity experiencing the pleasure of humiliation and slavery or bondage, the other experiencing the pleasure of mastery and control over another entity. In this way, a sexual energy transfer of a negative polarity is experienced. So I think that one's relatively clear, for people who haven't activated and aren't working in the higher chakras, but they're focused on like the red and orange ray is going through their mind. That is what they spend a lot of their thinking and energy and feeling on, these sexual desires and the controlling desires. So like example, the bondage, the dominant and the submissive kind of roles in sexual energy transfer. If both people are similar and alike in that they're absorbed in this orange ray activity or energy in the negative sense, one takes on the role of master and slave, like it says. My last quote here, also from the Rock Contact in 1981. In second density, the orange ray is that of movement and growth of the individual. This ray striving towards the yellow ray of self-conscious manifestations of a social nature as well as individual. Third density being the equivalent, and so forth. Each density being primarily its ray plus the attractions of the following ray, pulling it forward in evolution and to some extent coloring or shading the chief color of that density. So this quote is more on the dynamic or the way the orange ray second chakra corresponds and correlates to the second density, and how each chakra and each ray also parallels the different densities, and that it incorporates or includes part of this. How this works is as they mentioned, the attracting of the next density. So the social nature of interacting in groups of the yellow third ray, third density, the orange ray entity strives towards that. They are beginning to be self-conscious from a one-on-one interaction, like a person and their pet. It's more of a one-on-one situation, and then they will evolve into yellow ray and experience groups. And that's all I have here. Thank you very much, and I'll pass it over to Bill.
Thank you, Josh. These next couple of quotes have to deal with distractions, orange ray distractions. And this is from Ra, session 34.12. Ra says, in a negative sense, many of the gadgets among your peoples, that is, what you call your communication devices and other distractions, such as the less competitive games, may be seen to have the distortion of keeping the mind-body-spirit complex inactivated so that the yellow and orange ray activity is much weakened. They're thus carefully decreasing the possibility of eventual green ray activity. Others of your gadgets may be seen to be tools whereby the entity explores the capabilities of its physical or mental complexes and, in some few cases, the spiritual complex, thus activating the orange ray in what you call your team sports and other gadgets such as your modes of transport. These may be seen to be ways of investing the feelings of power, more especially power over others, or a group power over another group of other selves. So, when you get into team sport, you got the individuals and the teams that are competing with each other, and this creates these feelings of power. And once you do that, you kind of start to constrict your orange ray. And remember, keeping the orange, yellow, and red ray open is the path to the open heart, is what your goal is by keeping these all open. And here's from The Choice by Carla, page 145. This one's interesting, about a distraction. And she said, in order for negatively polarized people to continue to use the power of our governments and cultures, the first thing that needs to happen for positively oriented people to be distracted and cease paying attention to real events. The mass media are such means of distractions, and we choose them all too often. So, you're getting into your group and your individual thing, but, our governments, our media, all these things are distracting and helping us block our orange ray. And here's from Raw from 1981. This is on sexual transfer or orange and yellow ray sexual energy transfer. And Ross says, there is the possibility of orange or yellow ray energy transfer, thus this being polarizing towards the negative, one being seen as object rather than other self, the other seeing itself as plunderer or master of the situation. And Josh has gone into this a little bit. So orange ray sexuality can be imbalanced by the master and slave relationship. And on this topic too, as far as orange ray sexuality, rape is often an orange ray activity. And a lot of times you think, well, rape would be red ray because it's based on pure lust, but rape really is more, they find out about it is set in one seeking power over the other. You start getting into these serial rapists and these people that do this, they want power over another. And many cultures throughout our time have let men dominate women sexually, and this is complete blockage of the orange ray. And here's from Ra, session 32.14. It says, the green ray activation is always vulnerable to the yellow or orange ray of possession, this being largely yellow ray, but often coming into orange ray. Fear of possession, desire for possession, fear of being possessed, desire to be possessed. These are the distortions which will cause deactivation of the green ray energy transfer. So fear helps close the orange chakra. And Kuo, January 15, 2006. And it says, you can forgive the people or the situations that are crushing you. The power to forgive is tremendous. And forgiveness is a way to clear the orange ray. Forgiveness of yourself, forgiveness of others. And this is the last quote I'll give, and it's from Carla, Living the Law 1 on page 160. And she says, at the end of each day, we will find it helpful to examine our thoughts and feelings with regard to our relationships. Evaluate these thoughts and emotions with compassion. Move within responsive, loving thought to heal our distortions and clear our orange ray chakras. So this is clearing of our orange ray chakra, and doing this, evaluating these thoughts and emotions with compassion, and in our relationships, we also need to do that with ourselves. So each day, if we can look at our thoughts and feelings and look at the relationships we're in and what we've done, even if it's with a store clerk or just who you've ran into that day, then evaluate these thoughts with emotions, with compassion, and then clear out the negative, and do that for yourself as well. And with that, I'll go on to Andrii. Andrii.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And so I'll just continue on part of what you had there here from session 3114. I was thinking more of the possibility of the Orion group having influenced, say, certain members of the Third Reich, who I have read reports of having sexual gratification from the observation of the sometimes gassing and killing of entities in gas chambers. And then Ra responds, I am Ra. We shall repeat. These entities had the potential for sexual energy buildup. The choice of stimulus is certainly the choice of the entity. In the case of which you speak, these entities were strongly polarized orange ray, thus finding the energy blockage of power over others, the putting to death being the ultimate power over others. This is then being expressed in a sexual manner, though solitary. In this case, the desire would continue unabated and is virtually unquenchable. You will find, if you observe the entire spectrum of sexual practices among your peoples, that there are those who experience such gratification from domination over others, either from rape or from other means of domination. In each case, there is an example of an energy blockage which is sexual in its nature. And so from this, we can garner the fact that basically these orange ray blockages are often associated with bad stuff like the gas chambers and things like that, and it is the domination over others. And one of the essential points of how do you get out of it, because it's unquenchable. Basically, a person who is stuck in this orange ray blockage, they've never say if they have a red and orange ray blockage, then they don't feel like they have enough. And they do want power over more and more people. And so that's why a lot of there's this term, the scum rises to the top, because they want more and more power over more and more people, and they never feel satisfied. They only have like these fleeting pleasures. And how do you get the long-lasting pleasure? How do you get the satisfaction? Well, the only way to do that is by opening your heart. And opening your heart is the only thing that can give you true satisfaction in life, because then you will there are downsides. You will feel the pain of others. You will feel the pain of those who you may be hurting. But that can then give you the compassionate impulse to be of aid to those people and to love them unconditionally, and to love all beings unconditionally, and thus kind of that's a motivation to try to be the positive path, right? So in terms of the orange ray in particular, it is, instead of trying to dominate others or submit to others or to be enslaved by them or to control them, you're just accepting people as they are, and you're not trying to control them. You're just loving them as they are. Okay, and then just had a last thing. It's kind of they mention it in terms of the orange ray, and this was, I'm not sure from what session, but they were asking, if I visualize my orange ray as glowing bright orange and full of light without actually working on what might be blocking the orange ray, could you comment, please? I am Kuo and aware of your query, my brother. Any seeker of truth may utilize the ability to visualize and intensify energy centers within its own system of centers in order to momentarily clear, energize, and make more able to transmit energy if it so desires, by using the techniques that you have mentioned of visualization and imagination, so that for a short period of time, as it processes which is being utilized to receive information, such as this instrument is receiving from this, and this is a helpful technique in order to make more efficient the transmission of light and energy of information through the chakras. So even simply visualizing your orange ray, or any of the other rays for that matter, and visualizing it opening and clearing, that is actually helping. So at least temporarily. That's it. Goes on to say, however, the balancing process itself, in that which is the more long lasting, shall we say, the type unblocking or clearing of energy centers undertaken in the balancing process, is that which works with the pre-incarnative choices that have been allocated to various centers of energy, depending upon the seeker's appraisal of its own efficiency at receiving and transmitting the intelligent energy of the one creator as its daily quota of information and inspiration that enlivens the mind-body-spirit complex. So basically, each of us has, before we incarnated, set ourselves some tasks to achieve throughout our life, and there may be some blockages, or some kind of catalysts or stimuluses that we have to. So, for instance, if we're going on the positive path, so we're learning to love and accept different kinds of people, different races, different genders, different orientations, whoever they are. And just like accepting them without trying to change them, without trying to be their slave, just accepting them as they are, and accepting ourselves as we are, and not feeling like we need to do, uh, you know. Okay, and then the last little bit, it was just the follow up, and it was, in the process of visualizing our own chakras, if you perceive a particular chakra is dim in your visualization, might this be an indication that it is actually blocked or dimmed or imbalanced or in need of work? And the response is, I'm Kuo and aware of your query, my brother, and we believe that you are indeed correct in this estimation. So, taking that inner sight is excellent. All right, so I'm gonna give it back to Bill. I think we're in discussion now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we have really tried to work hard to keep our quotes down so we can have a discussion with this. And so I thank you guys for doing that. And Andre brought up several good points, but I'd probably like to elaborate more on the sexual transfer and the master and slave relationship, because this is such an apparent issue in our culture. Just a lot of people view other people, men and women, as just objects. Who can I get off with? A lot of times people don't try to have power and control over others, but they definitely don't try to make the other self feel special and love, and try to become unified and in harmony with that other people. Josh, Andre, do you think this is a good thing to discuss? You want to discuss it more?
Sure. I have some other ones as well we can get into after, but this sounds good. Any thoughts, Andre?
Well, I was thinking that as we talked about in the previous session that a lot of like Tinder apps, they have like the one night stands. They're purely a red ray experience. So there's no domination or submission necessarily, unless that was part of, I guess, the contract. I think they had like Craigslist for BDSM, and that would be orange ray. But for most of the ones that I'm aware of, they're usually just red ray. They just get together, they do the sexual act, and then they say their goodbyes. Uh, and so there's nothing higher there. But yeah, for in terms of like the BDSM culture, that would be definitely the orange ray, negative blockage kind of thing. And I'm not sure how it would express itself in a healthy relationship, but I guess it would just kind of be loving and accepting the person's, your spouse's body as it is, without trying to control or change it or say, oh, you should, get fit, or put on some makeup, or that kind of stuff, because you're just accepting them as they are. And the same thing to yourself. You don't feel like you need to put on makeup or you need to change yourself for that other person, and in the positive sense.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with all that what you said, and good segue to what I had thought in for the positive end of the relationship in the orange ray, like you said, not the sexual red ray like Tinder, but say, and Bra gets into this as well, the like the pairing or the couple, lovers, partners, um, will accelerate the growth in orange ray, and as being tied to being close to each other, one-on-one intimate relationship is increases catalyst for one to the other, and in a positive way can become, if they embrace it, become a strong as a team or a duo, and they're able to be more productive in a STO manner if these two individuals are working together as a well-oiled machine. They're more effective than just two individuals in disharmony, kind of tripping over each other, trying to do work in consciousness or work, in service to others. Or, if one is STS and one is STO, it's like very difficult to make progress when you're stuck together to do for both to do their own work, and when you do have two individuals in good orange ray collaboration, energy, compatible, similar frequency, orange ray chakra energy, I feel that it would generate like a feedback loop of bouncing back and forth, love and joy and positivity, enhancing, enriching each other, in a positive STO orange ray way.
It would kick open the green ray for both of them. And you can start to have the mated relationship in the green ray. So what other topic did you wanted to go explore, Josh, on this? Or you got one more comment?
Yeah, I just had one more comment. I just heard recently that basically they did this study and they found that men don't care if their wives gain weight or stop wearing makeup, but they do care if they start nagging them a lot. And then like basically like the nagging, we'll say for instance, it could be an expression of that blocked orange ray, because it's the desire to control the other person. And so
and the nagging would lead to less harmony.
yes, exactly, because it could lead to blockages on both sides, and then that could possibly end the relationship eventually. But but by keeping open, by keeping accepting and loving, and recognizing, the one infinite creator is in my spouse, and I can love and accept them as they are, just as I can love and accept myself as I am, and then that keeps those orange rays open, and then you can continue moving up, the yellow ray, which we'll cover in the next one, the heart. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that fully. Great point. I agree. Just one other discussion point I had during that came to me during based on what one of you were saying earlier in regards to orange ray and people today in our modern society. I think he was talking about the gadgets and the distractions and games and so on. Well, it's clear to me, at least where I live, many people have cell phones and social media, and they're spending a lot less time these days meeting people and doing things out and about in real life. And since, some people are spending too much time or maybe even addicted, to their phones with apps like TikTok and Reels, where the algorithm is literally designed to keep you locked interacting with your phone for maximum time, which gives them more money from selling you ads, and or it could be entertainment like Netflix or other streaming services. If people are just staying in their house on their couch watching their TV or their phones, that is blocking us. That is others having power over you, in a sense, blocking you from having genuine interactions with other selves one on one, whether it's face to face or over the phone or over Zoom or something at minimum, to interact, have the catalyst, act upon the catalyst to, help clear blockages and progress. And yeah, so what are your thoughts on that topic? I mean,
Yeah, same with sports, movies, entertainment. I went to thousands or hundreds and thousands of rock shows, and after a while, it became boring for me to go to a rock show, because you've seen so many, and if you're not connecting with people, then you're just kind of going through the motion, even though you're around a lot of people. And then with the sports, it's the competition. You can get into the yellow ray of the team, the group, us versus them, or individual, us versus them. Then you get to the gambling and the other kinds of vices that just lead to more disharmony than anything else. And I want to hit on one thing you talked about, Andre, and that was this idea of the unquenchable desire to do bad stuff, to have more power. The scum rises to the top. How does one open their heart at that point? And there's a point where I would say is, once somebody's gone so negative and has a bias in a certain way, they would refuse to open their heart. I mean, there's a point. But do any of you have any comments on that? Because I found
Well,
that very interesting.
well,
yeah,
I wanted to first respond to the first thing Josh was talking about. So in terms of like the social media, at least, like that, there's definitely a way of, if you're just like scrolling, and it's like that distraction, where you're basically distracting yourself from actually spiritual growth. And I mean, in some ways you could do it, it could be a form of spiritual growth if you're using it as catalyst and you're learning to love and accept different kinds of beings, doing different things, then that's positive spiritual growth. So it's not like social media is bad. And like, say for instance, like on Twitter, or like if you're having one-on-one interactions with something, with people, then that's an opportunity for orange ray growth. So that's definitely a possibility. um and okay, and then in terms of the unquenchable desire, I'll let Josh speak to that because he had something.
yeah, thank you. I agree with you, Andre, there with what you said about Twitter and so on, where there is communication person to person. I guess what I was focusing on is like, scrolling through videos like TikToks and stuff, where you're just consuming one, by yourself, preventing you from having that back and forth. But in regards to the unsatiable, desire, it something that came up recently. I was reading the Living the Law of One 101, and Carla was talking about Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan is a if you don't know, he is the Mongolian conqueror emperor who went around and raped and pillaged and burned and killed everyone in his wake. A lot of all throughout Asia, had one of the largest empires, and he actually graduated service to self, one of the very few. and he was 100% power over others, very super STS activated Orange Ray. He basically just killed everybody, and even people that begged and survived and sworn allegiance to him and so on just became slaves. And so I think that's an example of maybe an individual in history with that unsatiable desire for power over others.
Mhm.
and yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to speak to that point as well. Well, first, I'd like to caveat that there's multiple versions of the Mongolian guy, and the Mongolians don't think he was that bad, but because that's their history. But I think Mao is a good recent example of that kind of service to self polarization. And what Bill was saying is right, that basically once a person is service to self polarized, they're not going to open their heart. They're dedicated. They're dedicated to having a closed heart. And so, at some point, if you have such a person, then you gotta forgive, love, and accept them, but maybe not interact with them, and maybe have a safe space in between you. Um, and
And I'd like
Mhm.
to interject and say that is just as valid a path as service to others.
Yes, exactly. And that if we want to help people with, say, like opening their heart and things like that, the best would be the lost, the people who are not decided either way, but are interested. So there's different levels of lost. There's like lost people that want to be lost. They don't want to wake up. They want to stay asleep. You know, we have to respect their free will. But then there's some lost people that they're suffering, they're in pain, they want to get better, but they just don't know how, and they're asking you, and you can help those people, and that's of service to others. So that's great. Okay.
And always forgiving yourself, forgiving others, having compassion on yourself, having compassion on others, opening your heart to love. This is how you clear the orange ray energy center.
Oh, and I just wanted to add that if you are in a situation where you have to work with someone that is service to self, it is possible to do so. You just have to phrase things in a way of explaining how it's going to benefit them personally, and then that would
Right.
be of most service to them. And then try to figure out solutions that would be of service to that person, but also of service to others. And that's the sixth density unity. So don't worry if it's difficult, because it could be.
Thank you guys for this discussion. I really mean it. And now let's get into do we have a final definition of what is the orange ray? Perhaps, Josh, you could elucidate. And then you, Andre.
All right. I'll give a whack at it. Um, to try and sum it up briefly, I mean it's the second ray of interaction with others, and I want to pass it over. I'm sure you guys have better
so
definitions.
Thank you.
so so it's about personal one-on-one relationships, either with yourself or with one other person. And the negative way is either through control or submission to one other person, and the positive way is loving and accepting as they are. All right, Bill.
And I can agree with you more because we always have the two paths. The negative path is separation and control, and the positive path is always love and acceptance. So, it's one-on-one relationships with yourself and others, and love and accept, or separate and control, or stay in the sinkhole of indifference, because there
Right.
is that third path and you'll just keep going through these incarnations.
Yep.
All right, is there any final consensus we want to do on this? I think we've kind of come to a consensus. Is there anything else anybody would want to add?
I guess I would just reiterate that all the chakras are important, and even one as low as the second orange ray doesn't mean it's less important. Still needs to be balanced and cleared and unblocked in both STS and STO, so you can move on to yellow ray and eventually higher.
And the Confederation tells us quite a bit that all rays and chakras are just as important as the other, because it's all an energy body and it all works together. And the red, orange, and yellow for service to others will open the heart, and those on the service to self path, they skip the green ray. so they actually use the orange and the yellow to get the more power. You got anything further to add, Andrii?
Yeah. Oh, well, we only have a few minutes left, so maybe we should do the outro.
Well, if you got something to say.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think it's wonderful. I think we've covered the topic very well.
All right. Well, thank you guys, and I'll do the outro. We end this session and are grateful to the audience for viewing this video. In this teaching experiment, we have attempted to learn a topic has a social memory complex that is unified, harmonious, and full of unconditional love. Which characteristics are extremely important to us because we resonate with the Confederation philosophy and believe we are, as humanity, forming and becoming a loving, unified, and harmonious social memory complex from planet Earth. We thank the Confederation and those at LL Research. If you'd like to support LL Research, you can go to their website at llresearch.org to donate and or buy their books and other material. All LL Research material is free at their website. And we hope this teaching experiment will give one knowledge that will help one see the love in the moment, will help one open their heart more and more clearly see the unity of all. We thank you all, and please know that we love each other and you. At this time, we leave you as we found you, in the love and light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one infinite Creator. Adonai Vasa Baragas.
All right. I ended the stream.